So we'll take the new chapter, animal reproduction. Okay, now reproduction. What do you mean by reproduction? Reproduction means to reproduce. Okay, reproduce. Now why do we need to reproduce? Because we know that all creatures, trees, plants, all living things are born, they age, and finally they die, right? So we have a limited period of time given, and after that every living organism dies. So therefore, to preserve their species, to keep their species existing, that is, if all the dogs in the world die and if they don't reproduce, if we don't give birth to another dog, will the dogs exist in the world? No, right? So for the dogs to exist in the world, for the species of them to be preserved, they must reproduce. So every living organism, every living thing needs to reproduce so that their species are preserved. Okay, so that their offsprings, their young ones, are preserved. So reproduction is what? It's a process by which living beings produce their young ones. Now look at the picture here. So now match the animals with their offsprings using straight lines. Okay, now we know that you'll always match a lion with a cub, or tiger with a cub, a dog with a puppy, a hen with a chick, right? So we know that it gives birth to its identical, to the young one of its own kind. Of its own kind मतलब उसी के जैसे. It is important characteristic of living organism that living organisms can reproduce. Okay, they can give birth to the young ones of their own kind. So that is reproduction. That is the meaning to reproduce. Okay, to produce a living being of its own kind. So in this chapter we are going to study the reproduction process of animals, animals that give birth to their offsprings, animals that lay eggs, because animals can reproduce in two ways. Either they can give birth to their young ones, or they can lay eggs, and then from their eggs their offsprings hatch. Okay, so the reproduction process we are going to study, the animals that give birth to their offspring and animals that lay eggs. There are two groups of animals. Then the structure of an egg and reproduction in different egg laying animals. So in this chapter we are particularly going to study about the reproduction in different egg laying animals and the structure of the egg, and then how do animals give birth to their offspring and reproduce.